have Patrick Chapin on our right and Christian Heath on the left.
I know Patrick Chapin is playing dark blade, or maybe just blue-white probably. This one was
Christian Heath opens up with...
Please purchase something. Lindsay is
looks like a Seachrome Coast into a preordained.
About an hour. Every $5 you spend.
And there is confirmation. Commander cards are legal, but they are simply not a part of Standard.
Right. Do you know what Chapin is playing?
Chapin is definitely playing some blade variants.
Or is it Caw Blade? Okay, I think he's playing whatever Jerry and Drew were playing earlier.
Okay, second turn play from Christian Heath. Find out momentarily. Okay, I'm not sure what he tutored for. I would be unsurprised if it was a Batterskull.
Probably was a Batterskull. I've seen that play a lot today. And yesterday.
On the other side of the table, we see a Batterskull searched for by another Stoneforge Mystic.
Mm-hmm. So their plays are currently mirrored right now. But it seems like Christian will get his Batterskull down first. And he has the Dismember for Chapin's Stoneforge Mystic, stranding the Batterskull in Chapin's hand.
I mean, getting to 5 mana takes a while.
Yeah.
You know?
I noticed Chapin also has a Mental Misstep in his hand. Which unfortunately cannot counter even the 1 mana Dismember.
Preordain. Chapin looks at a hand that includes Mental Misstep, as Lauren said, Jace the Mind Sculptor.
Tectonic Edge.
Yep.
He puts both cards on the bottom and draws into a land. Looks like he's going to cast... no, he just passes a turn.
Down comes a Batterskull and a Divine Offering, perhaps?
Yeah. He's going to
there
get
it
rid
is.
of that Germ and the equipment.
Chapin might have a stranded Batterskull, but it's still in his hand at least.
Yeah, that's true. He just needs to draw into another Stoneforge to make that active again.
A fourth card or land from Christian Heath. He attacks with a Stoneforge Mystic. He would love to lay a Jace here. Let's see if he has it.
Yeah.
Says
nope,
go.
He just passes. I see Chapin has an Ameri Angel in his hand. He actually talks about that in his article for tonight. He seems to really like Ameri Angel over other options like Gideon's Draw.
Ameri Angel is amazing. A Plains from Patrick Chapin means he cannot cast his Jace despite having the 4 mana.
Right.
Stoneforge Mystic pulls forth a Mana Leak from Christian Heath, and Patrick says go. A fetch from Christian Heath with Marsh Flats at the end of the turn.
We'll soon have Larry Swayze in the booth joining us to commentate on this match, and I'll probably step out here to let you go.
Hello, Mr. Swayze. How goes?
Hello. 1-2 drop with Legacy.
Okay, the Legacy is over for Mr. Swayze, and he's going to be here to talk with us about Standard. Right now, we have got Patrick Chapin on the right with 4 lands in play, facing Christian Heath on the left with 5 lands in play, a Stoneforge Mystic attacking. The Stoneforge Mystic earlier got a Batterskull, which was Divine Offeringed. Patrick Chapin's Stoneforge Mystic was dismembered, leaving the Batterskull stuck in his hand, and now Christian Heath lays Squadron Hawk, summoning some friends. All 3, perhaps? Yep, all 3.
Now the 24 life, was that from the...
That's from the Divine Offering.
Right.
Yeah. And Patrick, still without a second blue, casts his own Squadron Hawk on his turn. And summoning forth...
Doing the third?
Looks for the third. Where is it? 3 Squadron Hawks.
So, it's like 3 Squadron Hawks.
And he drops the second one down, leaving himself open to whatever Christian Keith might want to do. Does he have anything to do?
Well, when you're playing Cobblade, I imagine there's always something to do.
Well, something scary. Something scary to do. It's like a colonnade hits the table for Christian Keith, and nothing scary before combat. In comes a single Squadron Hawk.
It's like an Emeria Angel and Patrick's hand. It'd be good if he can draw some lands.
Second Squadron Hawk for Christian Keith. Passes the turn to Patrick Chapin, leaving himself up with Island, Plains, Plains. Patrick draws... Is that another Divine Offering, maybe?
Can't quite make it out.
Patrick, with a life advantage here, attacks with both Squadron Hawks. And Christian blocks, and Patrick lets the other one die, just to be a little contrarian. It's all the same in the end.
Can't quite make out what's in both players' hands, but it looks like Christian... He definitely has the man advantage.
That is another Squadron Hawk. And the fourth Squadron Hawk to put 3 on the table.
Looks like he's on plan C, just racing with Squadron Hawks.
A Stoneforge Mystic just drawn by Christian Keith.
No counter magic to fear.
Stoneforge comes down.
Sword of War and Peace. Quite good in the Cobblade Mirror. I imagine he's going to put it into play with the Stoneforge Mystic, equip the Squadron Hawk and swing, but maybe he has other plans. There he goes.
Dun dun dun. Here it comes.
Couldn't get
Look
that
at that
in
hand.
fast.
Ouch. Sword of War and Peace really does change the potential tenor of this matchup. An island, finally, for Patrick.
Realize does he want to play a Mary Angel first, though, is the question. Can he afford to?
Is that a Phyrexian Metamorph? Phyrexian Metamorph is in his hand. Metamorph.
In play.
Pays 2 life in order to be able to get that into play. Taps out to equip a Squadron Hawk. And swings in with just that single Squadron Hawk, which is really interesting, actually, because it's not like his extra Squadron Hawks can do any blocking on the sworded Hawk on the other side, but together they can stop a single Mystic.
He might also be afraid of a Celestial Colonnade attacking.
That's fair, too. What are our life totals accurate right now? 10 to 16? Okay. 10 to 16.
Sword of War and Peace really... This game might go a little bit longer. Constantly gaining and taking away the life.
Still 5.
They're almost negating each other.
And now, the hand size of both players makes them have different effects. It's not a direct negating of each other fully, right? Like
Right.
I think Chapin's hand is a little bit top-heavy. He's been choking on not enough mana for quite a while.
Divine Offering drawn, looks like.
In comes the Sordid Bird. Dismember for 4 life from Christian Keith. Does its job.
Divine Offering your sword.
Patrick Divine Offerings now, rather than afford Christian the opportunity to draw perhaps multiple counter magic like Spell Pierce plus Mana Leak. They do not currently have each other's deck lists. Spell Pierce and Mana Leak are both present in Christian Keith's build.
It's really interesting how all the Cobblade lists nowadays are running Dismember main deck in some number.
Patrick is running 3, for example.
It doesn't seem that bad in the mirror like we just saw.
Patrick running 3 Dismember, Christian Keith running 2. Christian Keith's deck also running one kind of almost throwback strategy, one main deck Day of Judgment. This is a strategy we first started seeing kind of, I think, in the middle end of last season in Los Angeles, where some people would have 1 just as an out.
Legacy players.
It's always good to have 5 topics.
Please posted. Please find your seats. Round will start in 4 minutes.
Without any weapons on the board, everybody serves in from Christian Keith. Patrick double blocks one of the Stoneforge Mystics, trading a Squadron Hawk for one of the Mystics. And after combat comes a Squadron Hawk from Christian Keith. Patrick untaps. Looks like another Phyrexian Metamorph. He's got a Batter Skull in hand as well.
The Legacy Open this round. Table 14, Thomas Maw versus Jonathan Sukanek.
I really love the look of Patrick's deck.
I like the Phyrexian Metamorphs very
Table
good.
25, the Liliana table, James Payton and Lewis
Jace
Laskin.
pulls a Mana Leak.
Players in standard Winnabox number 4, please report to the open stage.
There we see
Standard
a
Winnabox number 4 to the open
Inkmoth
stage.
Nexus.
1 of 3 in the deck. It's very interesting to see more than 2, 3.
Patrick is running 0 Inkmoth Nexus and only 3 Celestial Colonnade. All of this is to support more fetch lands for his Emiria Angel.
Block the Hawk.
Squadron Hawk trades with Squadron Hawk, and he takes the rest.
Heath. Yep.
Another Squadron Hawk for Christian Keith. No hand. Patrick really wanted a land there to make his Emiria Angel, particularly if it was a fetch land, to drop an Emiria Angel and then get 2 blockers.
Mana Leak, unfortunately, not doing very much at this point.
Metamorph here. Nothing's enough. He needed one of many cards to be able to be in a good place. The best possible draw for him would have been either Scalding Tarn or Arid Mesa, which he runs 2 of both.
Ideally, if he untapped, he'd be able to Phyrexian Metamorph a Emiria Angel.
So, we're right in the end of this Standard tournament, but pretty soon Standard's going to be changing. We're going to see 2012 coming out, the new core set, and you can get you can pre-order boxes of 2012. I cannot speak today. You can pre-order boxes of 2012 from StarCityGames.com, and for every box that you order, you're going to get 1 free month of premium. And for me, I think that if you're not reading premium, if you don't own premium, what you're doing is you're doing yourself a disservice if you want to win Magic.
I love my premium.
Yeah. How long have you been a premium subscriber?
At least a year.
Yeah.
I love reading up on all. I like Jerry T's articles.
Right.
All his, he has all the stories, how the events went down.
Now, for those of you who are just joining us, this is round 13 of the Star City Games Invitational here in Indianapolis. I'm Adrian Sullivan, and I'm joined in the booth by Invitational player Larry Swayze, who maybe made your radar recently with his blue-green Vengevine deck. Today, though, he is off on the sidelines, and we are watching Christian Keith playing Cawblade with Mirran Crusaders, and versus Patrick Chapin playing Cawblade with Phyrexian Metamorph and Emiria Angel. From the sideboard, what do you think they're going to probably do? You've got Christian Keith's list in front of you.
I imagine he'll board in Divine Offering.
Yep.
Hits almost everything.
Right.
Sun Titan.
Yep.
Although it doesn't get back Batterskull, it still gets back Sword of War and Peace. And I could see Batterskull being very good.
Yeah, I think he's going to bring in those cards you mentioned and also the extra Dismember.
Go up to 3 Dismembers?
Yeah, I think he would. Patrick Chapin, on the other hand, let's see, he has access to the Divine Offering. I think he's going to bring that in. I think he's going to bring in his Batterskull as well. And then the question is really interesting here. He's got Mental Missteps, which I don't know if he brings in or not. It stops Preordain,
Spell Pierce.
Spell Pierce. I don't know that he needs to bring in Mental Misstep. I could see him bringing in Spellskite as a means to stop unfortunately timed Divine Offerings.
Or Dismembers.
Or Dismembers. But that's a real question mark, because you're having to chop off something from this list to fit them. And I could potentially see Patrick bringing in 1 Deprive. Just being able to stop like a late game 3-mana Sword of War and Peace, for example, can be valuable. Or stopping something from happening in a late game where a Mana Leak won't cut it.
Waiting till turn 7 to play Jace, just say no. Very powerful. Drawing their opening hands. Spell Pierce, Preordain, some other cards I can't quite make out in Christian Keith's hands. Looked like 1 Squadron Hawk at least. Both players have kept. Glacial Fortress to lead it off with Patrick. Turn 1 Preordain for Christian Keith.
Judge Ben Bowers.
Possibly setting up the turn 2 Stoneforge Mystic.
Ben Bowers to the open event stage.
Looks like Chapin will be doing a turn 2 Stoneforge Mystic. I saw one in hand. Can't imagine he won't do it. There it is.
There it is.
Couldn't slam Batterskull down fast enough.
Now, Patrick was so close to being able to push himself right back into that game. And in fact, if he had drawn a fetch land in the last game, I think he probably would have stabilized.
He definitely would have not lost within the next few turns, barring any top decks.
Well, I mean, he would have the board be safe, right? And he had like a 6-0 card hand size advantage.
And he also had Phyrexian Metamorph. He could copy a Stoneforge Mystic.
We see a Dismember from Christian Keith tearing up the Stoneforge Mystic from Patrick. Squadron Hawk in hand for Patrick.
Dismember seems very powerful in the mirror.
Yeah, it's actually really impressive for what it does for the deck. And between main and board, Christian Keith has 3, whereas Patrick Chapin runs 3 of his all main. Oh my goodness. Yeah, we do.
Yep.
Stoneforge Mystic.
What does that card do?
We'll have to look it up on the Oracle.
It's a new one, right?
I don't think it's seen much play lately.
Yeah. Here's a Phyrexian Metamorph, which wonderfully can copy that Stoneforge Mystic if need be.
Get right back into it.
Now, Patrick's use of Phyrexian Metamorph here, I really like, and it really reminds me of a small innovation that some of us were working on during Affinity during the Affinity heyday, where what we started doing was we started running Sculpting Steel, because the matchup came down to who had the Ravager,
Right.
and when you both start fighting over your Ravagers, being able to be like, well, you've got one, I'll copy it. And then the other part of the fight was who had the Skull Clamp, and they're like, oh, you have a Skull Clamp? I like Skull Clamp.
Phyrexian Metamorph is certainly a very powerful card.
Phyrexian Metamorph for 2 life can be a Sculpting Steel. Or you can spend 1 extra mana.
Doesn't seem like the life totals matter too much in the mirror.
Usually, when I've cast Phyrexian Metamorph, primarily playing your deck,
Right.
I've been paying the life almost every time.
Me too. You want to play around potential mana leaks, and also if you copy a sword, you want to get it for 3 mana,
Yeah.
and then start getting in there.
Christian Keith untaps. And there we have Metamorph cloning the Stoneforge Mystic on the other side of the table.
7.
Chapin has left himself open to a potential Jace. Can't quite see if Christian has one.
I think I see one.
Might be the top card?
I think so. It's hard to s but his angle of is there. Oh, we'll find out in a moment. Dun, dun, yes,
Yep.
that's a Jace. J. Moldenhauer Salazar bounces the Phyrexian Metamorph. Unsummon. Batterskull drawn by Patrick Chapin.
It's quite the group of cards he has, but unfortunately, not a whole lot of mana going on. I don't think he has the land.
I don't think he does either. Now, him not having the land, I would say it's not exactly his fault.
Right.
He has 27 land, which is a pretty solid amount of land if you want to draw it.
And he has thinned the deck.
Discards a Batterskull, looks like. Sort of War and Peace in play.
Card seems quite good, except against Dismember.
I almost wonder if you're Christian Keith here, if you bounce that Squadron Hawk and don't bother doing anything else and just try to clog Patrick's hand this turn.
If you bounce the Hawk and you don't have a follow-up play, I guess it's fine. You can Stoneforge end of turn.
Well, I mean, if we look at it, right, Patrick has 7 cards in his
Right.
hand. He's choked for mana. There it is. There's the Squadron Hawk back in hand. Now he's got 8 cards in hand. Christian Keith has no fear from that Sword of War and Peace. He can put something else. There's his Squadron Hawk. And now the board is very much in Christian Keith's favor. And it'll take Patrick at least 2 turns to be able to mount an offense or even, you know, do anything that might put any fear in Christian Keith at all.
I have to take. I would
Magic
say
players, this is the
he'll have to draw
last
the land.
call to register for the second draft
And
open of the day.
sometime a
If
Mary
you'd like
Angel
to
would be very
register,
good.
you need to make your way to the open event
Assuming he
stage.
continues to draw lands.
7. Yeah, 7 after that. Are you done? Or are you attacking? No, I'm done.
Untap, draw. Not a land.
I think that's all she wrote for Patrick.
I don't see him crawling back into this one, unfortunately.
I mean, in my mind, this is very much a mid-range control mirror where the game is defined by who has board presence. And
Discard.
Patrick is just way behind. Down comes a Batterskull.
Discard.
Missing the land drop certainly did not help his cause.
Mid.
Tim Ayton is recruited for Christian Keith as his germ.
Players in the Two-Headed Giant Sealed Tournament, your seedings or deck construction have been posted on the R through Z pairing board. Two-Headed Giant Sealed players to the R through Z pairing board.
Now, this matchup, the nature of like just how, you know, being mana clogged can make things basically be the end. I mean, Patrick's deck, both times, though he runs 27 mana, we didn't really actually get an opportunity to see how his build, which is, I think, fairly innovative, how it plays. I mean, he has really eschewed the use of counter magic, only running 2 mana leaks, like, and 2 mental missteps, kind of as I'm going to keep you honest counter magic, and replaced it entirely with Dismember, Divine Offering, Metamorph, and a Myria Angel. I'd be really curious to see how this would play out if Patrick wasn't in what I would think to be a very unlikely situation. Mana stalled with 27 mana in his deck.
3 main deck Divine Offering and 3 main deck Dismember seems very good, especially in the mirror. Unfortunately, none of that helps if you can't draw the lands. And although the deck is mostly 2-drops,
yes,
you still want to draw lands.
We have just 3 slots remaining in
Patrick
the second
untaps.
draft open of the day. So if you'd like to play in the draft open,
And again,
please
no
go to
lands.
the open event stage right now.
Yep. Attack.
He does have Sword of War and Peace going though, so potentially a game.
11. I gained 8.
He'll have to crawl back into it.
17. 11 to 17, correct?
That might be Tectonic Edge?
Oh, he draws finally, after all of this time, and a Divine Offering for the Batterskull, though it gets counterspelled. Patrick is only in this game for as long as he can keep that Sword of War and Peace around. And there's a Sun Titan from Christian Keith. We see a Tectonic Edge knocking out Patrick's sole source of white. Destroying the Sword of War and Peace there.
Yep.
Oh boy.
That is very rough.
A card off of camera that I can't quite make out.
I take 8. 9,
And attacking with a Batterskull and numerous 1-power creatures. 3 Hawks and a Mystic. Preordain, which is going to have to hunt for mana.
Would have been nice a few turns earlier when he was stalled.
One of the things he can hope for here is Preordain, get a mana, and if he has a Metamorph in hand, he could copy the Batterskull and survive a turn. Well, he's not, I still don't know what that card is off screen above the Batterskull. It's just outside.
It might be another
Squadron Hawk number 4. Patrick fetching another land. Plains.
That looks like he did bring in Spell Skites.
I imagine he might Divine Offering if he has it in his hand, that Batterskull immediately.
Divine Offering.
There it is. Gains 4 life so long as it's not spell pierced. There it goes.
Keeping
Goodbye
him
to
alive.
Tim A10.
13, 18? Yeah.
Just barely hanging by a thread. Although, if Christian drops Sun Titan, he can Metamorph it and try to crawl back into the game.
He's fighting so hard here with so few resources. Here they come. Metamorph, Batterskull, and some other friends. Plops off, takes 4, goes to 9. Sun Titan retrieving what? I don't know if there's anything of all that note in there. Maybe a
Tectonic Edge.
That's not that great. Patrick here, he can put down Metamorph, copy Sun Titan, and get Sword of War and Peace.
He might be back into this game.
Metamorph.
Players registered for the second draft open. Your seedings for the draft have been posted on the draft open
Anything you can
board.
do, I can do cheaper.
Blue
Yeah.
paper.
I mean, I was so impressed. I mean, I worked on your blue-green deck, and I put in Metamorph basically after seeing you had cloned in your old version. And I was like, I think Metamorph's better. And then after testing it, wow.
A lot of people I've talked to want 3.
And all players
I'm trying to figure out how to fit in a third.
To the round drafting tables, please.
Metamorph at the front of Patrick's hand. 1, 2, 3. Metamorph paying the life. getting Sun Titan. Perhaps retrieving a land and waiting until next turn? Yeah. Land.
Dropping Stoneforge Mystic?
Squadron Hawk isn't terrible. What's that do?
Still an artifact, though. Can be Divine Offerings.
Does he have a Spellskite in hand?
I saw one when he was shuffling. I don't know if he has one in his hand.
Mystic and Squadron Hawk.
I know I want to cast a 2-drop, but which one? I can't quite see if Christian has a Colonnade, which might be why he's debating. Just so he doesn't take 4 in the air. Actually, it would be lethal in the air.
Yep. Cards in hand.
Only bringing one friend to the party.
Yeah, okay.
Now, Christian here can Tectonic Edge Patrick's land and then Sun Titan it back. Do you think that Patrick will trade his Metamorph for that Sun Titan?
I don't think...
If he's given the opportunity?
If he's given the opportunity, I don't think he can afford to. I think he really needs the sword to get back in this game. Although, that'll still... He can't get it and equip an attack, unfortunately. He'll need at least 2 turns to get the sword going.
Show this in Divine Offering.
Ooh.
Divine Offering. That's... I don't know that he can dig back now.
Looks very grim.
Chump block. If he had... I'm looking for... And... Wow.
Land, Day of Judgment.
I mean, the thing is, Patrick is going to lose this game. But... if you think about just how incredible a fight he put up, I think with some of his technology that he has in his deck, I think Patrick's deck is really incredible in terms of how these decks are built. He's got great weapons to do so many different things, and if he hadn't been a little unlucky, I